Warning, this review will contain spoilers for the film Monkey Man. Monkey Man is a John Wick adjacent film that is also the directorial debut of Dev Patel, most likely known for his roles in The Green Knight, Slumdog Millionaire, and most infamously, Avatar: The Last Airbender. Boy, has he come a long way from that one. As a first-time director, let alone a first-time action director, he does a decent job in making the fights very kinetic, and even had moments that I still think about, such as the elevator scene where he stabs a dude in the neck while holding the knife with his teeth. Pretty fucking metal, if you ask me. The one thing about this movie that I loved most was how he utilized Hindu mythology and made it parallel to the narrative of its own film. A disclaimer, I'm not all too familiar with Hinduism, nor Hanuman, the deity in particular, but after doing some more research on Hanuman's stories, it made me realize how much of it was in relation to Dev Patel's character's arc. In the film, Dev Patel plays a character known as the Kid, whose village and mother were burned down, so he enacts revenge by working his way up to the corporate ladder of these bad guys responsible. But however, he sort of bit off more than he can chew in taking his revenge. And he nearly died even trying to escape, getting shot down by a helicopter in the process. But afterwards, he was rescued by a downtrodden group of a trans community who helps him regain his strength and successfully take down the people responsible for the death of his own people, while also being a champion of the oppressed. And for Hanuman, he was a monkey born hungry who attempts to eat the sun, mistaking it for a fruit. But then Indra, the thunder god, stops him by attempting to strike him down with lightning, and even killed him. Shiva, the goddess of destruction, resurrects Hanuman, but in the process, Hanuman forgets his true potential of his own powers, and thus he had to regain himself by learning a process of self-knowledge, and in doing so, he becomes stronger and wiser than before, and he helps the deity known as Rama gain the crown with an army of monkeys, becoming a god of strength and a fighter for the people. Now, this is only one aspect of the film to touch on. There's also themes regarding how spiritual leaders manipulate the people to believe that they're just like the people down in the streets. You know, that they seem more grounded than they actually are, and meanwhile the people in the streets starve and sleep on the streets as he lives comfortably and is in bed with these other politicians in order to gain votes on an election for a specific political leader. I also recognize the subtle things that this film has to say about women and femininity as a whole. In general, the women in this movie are regarded by the higher authority figures as nothing but objects to please the highly appointed politicians, and meanwhile the transgender community are being beaten to death in the streets by police for being too, if I remember correctly, they were too unsightly by their standards. They were seen as basically lesser for being too different. Despite all these things, the film does have a few problems, one being the amount of shaky cam per fight scenes. There were moments where the action looks great, but the shaky cam really makes it a task to know what's happening. There's even one that stands out to me where the main character, the kid, bites a dude's nose off and then puts him in a chokehold, but it was kind of hard to even see the effect of the nose being gone because of all the shaky cam. That's what stuck out to me a lot about that. There is a chase scene that was a bit lackluster, in my opinion, due to the amount of close-up shots on the characters instead of having shots setting up where the cars are to establish the stakes. I did like how they used this very rinky-dinky taxi-like vehicle. I don't remember the name of it, but it was pretty interesting to see a not-so-typical car being involved in a car chase. Personally, I feel like the people who watch this, expecting it to have the presentation and the pacing of a John Wick film, may be disappointed. Not to say that it's bad or anything. In one scene, the film outright acknowledges its John Wick influences, while also rejecting them to say it's film that's based on its own merit. And by this, I specifically think of the scene where Dev Patel goes to an underground weapons shop and the guy selling him a gun says, "Hey, you like John Wick? Here's the gun from John Wick." And he outright says, "No, I want something else, something smaller," right? So basically that's just him acknowledging that, hey, this might be influenced by John Wick, but it's not John Wick. This is something else entirely. Something smaller scale, more personal. The guy even says you have to get more close and personal with whoever you're doing this to, and he says, yeah, that's fine. I do respect the notion of doing that, but admittedly, the second act for this movie is a bit of a slog. This isn't uncommon for the second act of the film, considering that it's usually the slow point of a film. For anyone expecting a fast-paced John Wick-type film, this may be a downfall for them. They might find it to be too boring in the majority of the film, as it's building up to the lead character growing out from his mistakes in the beginning and building himself back up to get back to what he was doing. But I find this notion is going to make people think that it's going to be too boring, even though the point is to rebuild yourself to try and take down the villains as a new and better man. I also wish we could have had more time with the monkey mask. There are scenes in the beginning, a little bit in the middle, and like one part in the third act where Dev Patel hones the monkey mask. You might see it in the previews, the trailers, the posters, but he hardly wears it. And there's even a scene in the beginning of the third act where he builds up his return to his mission and starts it by going out of his way to bleach the monkey mask to resemble more of what Hanuman, the monkey deity, resembles. It's supposed to represent him ascending to this betterment. But after that, you see him with the white mask and a full black suit, and it looks cool, only for him to take it off 2 seconds after seeing it with him on, and he just starts attacking the guards outside the building, and you never see him with it ever again. I find that to be a bit of a downer, personally, because I like the iconography of the monkey mask with Dev Patel, and even like him with the black suit on. It just looks pretty rad, in my personal opinion. I really wanted to see him fight a majority of the building, at least, with the monkey mask on, so then we would get the monkey man we paid for, at least like going up the tower that he's going to at least have it damaged to the point where he has to take it off, and then you could have him in the latter half of that journey just have no mask. That would have been fine. But he just kind of took it off 2 seconds after before even starting the whole thing. In conclusion, I did enjoy this film. It's not perfect, but I feel like a sequel would polish some of these problems, and in doing so, it might even surpass the first one. It might be one of those sequels that become better than the first one, kind of like The Raid 2, or Spider-Man 2, or Terminator 2, Judgment Day. So I suggest, for anyone going to see this movie, give it a shot. Maybe we'll actually make a sequel possible in doing so, because honestly, we need more films like this in Hollywood. We need more originality. And that's all I had to say. This was my review of Monkey Man, and I hope you enjoy seeing my speed draw of the Monkey Man mask. like I said, I really like this mask. The look of it, along with the lighting in the film, really adds to it. And so I really hope you guys like it, and I'll see you around on the next one.